Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into something that literally affects every single one of us, our daily habits. You know, they are either the master architects building up our mental sharpness, or they're the silent destroyers tearing it down piece by piece.
So let me ask you this. Is your brand improving today, or is it quietly declining? I really want you to think about that for a second, because here's the harsh truth. There is absolutely no neutral ground here. Zero. Every single day, the everyday choices you make are pushing your mind in one of those two directions.
Okay, let's dive into this. On one side, we've got habits that actively build things like deep focus, sharp memory, and raw intelligence. But on the flip side, we have actions that are quietly damaging those exact same traits over time. Today, we're going to pinpoint 3 specific, incredibly common habits that might be silently draining your mental sharpness. And, more importantly, we're going to look at exactly how to fix them.
Saboteur number 1, the short-form content trap.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how this hidden villain actively steals our cognitive power right out from under our noses. And guys, it happens incredibly fast. Here's how the trap works. You start innocently enough, right? Just watching a quick funny clip. Then you swipe to a shocking headline. Suddenly, you're onto a completely different topic. And before you even realize it, boom, an entire hour is just lost. What starts as a few innocent minutes of constantly consuming short-form content quickly hijacks your time and actually rewires how your brain processes information. Because every swipe brings something fresh and new, your brain gets totally hooked on these rapid bursts of stimulation. Your mind literally begins expecting entertainment every few seconds. So because of this constant dopamine drip, activities that require actual patience, like sitting down to read a book, studying for an exam, or learning a new skill, they suddenly start to feel incredibly difficult, almost painful.
Over time, just staying focused on a single thing becomes a massive, massive challenge. Instead of patient concentration, which is the state you absolutely need for reading, studying, or really learning anything meaningful, you're left with scattered attention. You've essentially trained your brain out of its natural ability to focus. This makes learning and complex problem-solving so much harder. You're actively sabotaging your ability to maintain deep concentration.
Now, let's slow things down a bit. Saboteur 2, sacrificing the brain's recovery. Let's move to and see how this builds, because so many of us treat sleep like it's completely optional, right? We trade our rest just to try and squeeze a little more out of the day. But man, the brain pays a heavy price for that. Sleep isn't just a switch you flip to turn your brain off. It's an intensely active biological process. While you're sleeping, your brain is actually working through a critical nighttime checklist. It's actively processing information, it's organizing your memories, and it's recovering from the heavy mental demands of the day. It is doing its absolutely crucial maintenance.
When you consistently skimp on sleep and skip that vital maintenance phase, well, you pay a steep price. The results? Slower thinking, finding it way harder to remember even basic details, and really struggling to make good decisions. When you're exhausted, even simple tasks that normally feel effortless suddenly require an exhausting amount of mental energy. It's like trying to drive with the parking brake on.
And this is exactly why top performers ruthlessly protect their sleep schedules. They understand a fundamental truth: mental performance depends on proper recovery. By treating sleep as an absolute non-negotiable priority, they give themselves a massive cognitive edge over everyone else who's just constantly running on fumes.
Which brings us to our final trap, Saboteur 3, the multitasking illusion. Now, what's really interesting about this is how common it is. We all do this, right? We check messages while we're working, we watch videos while we're supposedly studying, or we just mindlessly jump between apps every few minutes. But there's a specific scientific term for this: context switching. This means repeatedly shifting your attention from one task to another. And doing this results in a massive hidden mental cost of time and energy. Every single time you interrupt yourself, your brain pays an invisible tax just trying to refocus.
We really have to expose the myth of multitasking here. Sure, it feels like you're getting a million things done at once. It creates this powerful illusion of productivity, but the reality is a heavy, heavy mental cost. You aren't doing more, you're just constantly draining your time and mental energy trying to get your brain to catch up and lock back onto the new task. The crazy thing is, the more often you interrupt yourself, the harder it becomes to enter a state of deep concentration. And deep concentration is the crucial state where real learning, real creativity, and genuine problem-solving actually happen. People who can focus deeply for long periods, they possess a massive advantage in life, simply because they allow their brains to do the heavy lifting without those constant draining interruptions.
The blueprint for repair.
reclaiming your mental sharpness.
So the crucial point is this: we can absolutely fix this. If you want a sharper mind, you don't need to look for some magical pill to become smarter. You just start by removing the daily habits that are actively making your brain weaker. The fixes are totally intentional and straightforward. First, you've got to cut back on the endless scrolling to reset your attention span. Second, prioritize your sleep schedule. Treat it as non-negotiable recovery time so your brain can actually process and heal. And finally, practice giving your full, undivided attention to just one task at a time. These are the daily, actionable steps that stop the silent damage and start rebuilding your raw intelligence.
So here's my final question for you. Which of these 3 habits will you stop today to protect your mind? The choice is entirely in your hands, and honestly, the results are going to shape your mental sharpness for years to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you build a sharper, stronger, and more focused mind.